Chapter 1. The Sun Before the Tempest. The morning sun blazed across the sprawling field, a canvas of vibrant green under an azure sky. The Global Events Solutions team moved with practiced efficiency, a well-oiled machine orchestrating the transformation of an empty space into a stage of dreams. Sound cables snaked across the ground, meticulously connected by weathered hands. Light rigs were hoisted, their beams tested and adjusted, and the modular LED panels, a mosaic of glowing squares, were assembled into a towering screen. The air vibrated with the low hum of generators and the clinking of tools, a familiar symphony for those who live to create immersive experiences. Among the bustling figures, three stood out. Alex, the seasoned sound technician, his salt and pepper hair a testament to countless shows and sleepless nights. Sophia, the sharp-witted project manager, her eyes darting between her tablet and the unfolding scene, a constant stream of information flowing through her headset. And Miguel, the wide-eyed LED prodigy, his fingers dancing across the control panel. A mix of awe and concentration on his youthful face. "Sound check in 10, Alex." Sophia's voice crackled through the comms, cutting through the ambient noise. "Client's rep wants a full run-through before lunch." "On it, Sophia," Alex replied, his voice gravelly but steady. "Just fine-tuning the subs. We want this place to rumble, not just boom." He adjusted a dial, his ears straining for the perfect balance. Miguel, meanwhile, was lost in the intricate world of the LED panel, his fingers tracing the lines of light, his mind envisioning the possibilities. "It's like a giant canvas of light," he murmured, his voice barely audible. "Imagine the visuals we can create." A subtle tension hung in the air, an undercurrent beneath the surface of the bustling activity. The event was for a high-profile tech mogul, a man known for his exacting standards and zero tolerance for errors. Whispers circulated about a rival company attempting to sabotage the event, spreading rumors of incompetence and unreliability. The stakes were high, and the pressure was on. As the morning progressed, the weather began to shift. The once clear sky was now streaked with wisps of gray, and a gusty wind swept across the field, carrying the scent of damp earth. The weather forecast had predicted a slight chance of rain, but no one had anticipated the sudden ferocity of the approaching storm. Without warning, the sky unleashed its fury. A deluge of rain hammered down, turning the field into a muddy quagmire. Lightning bolts split the sky, followed by thunderclaps that shook the ground. The team scrambled for cover, but the damage was swift and devastating. Sound and light cables were ripped from their connections, and water began to pool on the stage, threatening the delicate equipment. Amidst the chaos, the LED panel remained illuminated, a beacon of light in the darkening storm. Miguel, his face a mask of awe and concern, watched as the vibrant images continued to play across the screen, seemingly unaffected by the tempest. "We need to shut everything down," Sophia yelled, her voice barely audible above the roar of the storm. "It's too dangerous." "But the LED panel is still working," Miguel countered, his voice filled with a desperate hope. "We can use it to light the stage, keep the show going." Alex, his weathered face etched with worry, assessed the situation. "Miguel's right," he said, his voice firm. "We salvage what we can. We're not going to let a little rain ruin this." The team, soaked and shivering, huddled together, their eyes fixed on the glowing LED panel. Miguel, his youthful enthusiasm rekindled, began to issue instructions, his fingers flying across the control panel. A plan was forming, a desperate attempt to salvage the event from the jaws of disaster. As the storm raged on, the team of Global Events Solutions rallied, their determination fueled by a shared sense of purpose. They would turn this catastrophe into a triumph, a testament to their resilience and ingenuity. But could they overcome the forces of nature and deliver a show-stopping performance? Chapter 2. Salvage and Shadows. The tempest raged, a relentless assault of wind and rain, but within the makeshift shelter of the LED panel's glow, a fragile sense of order began to emerge. Alex, his voice hoarse but authoritative, directed the team, assigning tasks with the precision of a seasoned conductor. Sophia, her tablet now a waterlogged casualty, relied on her sharp memory and innate ability to organize, coordinating the salvage efforts with a determined efficiency. Miguel, his eyes alight with a newfound sense of purpose, manipulated the LED panel, transforming it into a dynamic light source, casting beams of color across the drenched stage. "We need to secure the remaining cables," Alex shouted, his voice barely audible above the howling wind. "If we lose power to the panel, we're finished." "I'm on it," replied a young tech, his face grim as he waded through the muddy water, securing loose wires with practiced hands. The subplot thickened as whispers of sabotage grew louder. Several crew members, their faces etched with suspicion, exchanged furtive glances, their eyes darting towards a group of unfamiliar figures lurking at the edge of the field. The rumors of a rival company attempting to undermine the event seemed less like paranoia and more like a grim reality. "Did you see those guys by the generator?" A stagehand whispered to Sophia, his voice laced with unease. "They don't look like they belong here." Sophia, her brow furrowed, scanned the crowd, her eyes narrowing as she spotted the group in question. They were dressed in dark, nondescript clothing, their faces obscured by the shadows of their hoods. Their presence, amidst the chaos, felt distinctly out of place. "Keep an eye on them," she instructed, her voice low and tense. "And make sure no one goes near the main power supply without authorization." Meanwhile, Miguel, his fingers flying across the control panel, was experimenting with the LED panel's capabilities. He discovered that by manipulating the color and intensity of the lights, he could create a mesmerizing visual display, transforming the stage into a canvas of light and shadow. "Look!" he exclaimed, his voice filled with excitement. "We can use the panel to create a light show, even without the sound." Alex, his face illuminated by the vibrant colors of the LED screen, nodded in approval. "Brilliant, Miguel. We'll turn this disaster into a visual spectacle. It's all we have." As the hours passed, the rain began to subside, and the first rays of the setting sun pierced through the clouds. The team, exhausted but resolute, had managed to salvage a semblance of order from the chaos. The LED panel, now the centerpiece of the stage, pulsed with vibrant colors, casting a warm glow across the muddy field. But the sense of unease lingered, a shadow beneath the surface of their hard-won victory. The presence of the mysterious figures, the whispers of sabotage, and the lingering threat of the storm created an atmosphere of tension and uncertainty. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across the field, a sense of foreboding settled over the team. The night was far from over, and the challenges ahead were as unpredictable as the storm that had just passed. Chapter 3: Shadows and Sparks. The night deepened, casting long, distorted shadows across the muddy field. The air was thick with a palpable tension, a sense of unease that permeated every corner of the makeshift stage. Alex, his face illuminated by the flickering glow of a makeshift lantern, surveyed the scene, his eyes scanning the perimeter, searching for any sign of trouble. Sophia, her brow furrowed, huddled with a group of stagehands, reviewing the hastily revised show schedule, attempting to salvage what they could from the ruined production. Miguel, his fingers flying across the control panel, continued to experiment with the LED panel, his mind buzzing with ideas for a visual spectacle. "We need to get those generators secured," Alex said, his voice low and urgent. "If they go down, we're in complete darkness." "I've got a team working on it," replied a stagehand, his face grim. "But those guys, they're still lurking around." Sophia, her attention diverted by the stagehand's words, turned her gaze towards the edge of the field, where the group of shadowy figures stood, their presence a constant reminder of the unseen threat. The whispers of sabotage had transformed into a chilling reality, a sense of paranoia that gnawed at the edges of their resolve. "Keep a close watch on them," she instructed, her voice sharp and decisive. "And if they make a move, don't hesitate to act." Meanwhile, Miguel, oblivious to the rising tension, was engrossed in his work. He had discovered a way to synchronize the LED panel with the remaining stage lights, creating a dynamic visual display that pulsed and shifted with the rhythm of an unseen beat. The effect was mesmerizing, a hypnotic dance of light and color that transformed the stage into a surreal landscape. "This is incredible," he murmured, his voice filled with awe. "We can create a show that's even more powerful than we imagined." Suddenly, a spark erupted from one of the generators, followed by a puff of smoke. The stagehands scrambled to extinguish the flames, their faces etched with worry. The generator sputtered and died, plunging a section of the field into darkness. "They're trying to sabotage us," a stagehand shouted, his voice filled with anger. "I saw one of them tampering with the wiring." Alex, his face grim, grabbed a flashlight and rushed towards the generator, his eyes searching for the culprit. Sophia, her heart pounding, followed close behind, her hand reaching for the walkie-talkie clipped to her belt. "Security team, we have a situation at the main generator," she barked into the walkie-talkie. "We need backup now." The shadowy figures, sensing the commotion, began to disperse, melting into the darkness. Alex, his flashlight beam cutting through the night, spotted one of them fleeing towards the perimeter fence. He gave chase, his footsteps pounding across the muddy ground. The tension reached a fever pitch, the air thick with anticipation. The team, their nerves frayed, braced themselves for the inevitable confrontation. The night was far from over, and the shadows held secrets that threatened to unravel their carefully laid plans. Chapter 4: The Chase and the Glitch. The chase was on. Alex, adrenaline coursing through his veins, sprinted across the muddy field, his flashlight beam cutting through the darkness. The fleeing figure, agile and quick, weaved through the scattered equipment, their dark silhouette blending seamlessly with the shadows. Sophia, her heart pounding, followed close behind, her walkie-talkie crackling with static. "Alex, be careful," she shouted, her voice barely audible above the wind. "We don't know who they are." Alex, his eyes fixed on the fleeing figure, ignored her warning. He was determined to catch the saboteur, to uncover the truth behind the chaos that had engulfed their event. The chase led them towards the perimeter fence, a chain-link barrier that separated the field from the surrounding woods. The figure, reaching the fence, scaled it with surprising agility, disappearing into the darkness of the trees. Alex, undeterred, followed suit, his flashlight beam dancing across the leaves and branches. Sophia, her breath coming in ragged gasps, struggled to keep pace, her boots sinking into the soft earth. Meanwhile, back at the stage, Miguel and the remaining crew members worked frantically to restore power to the damaged generator. The remaining lights flickered erratically, casting long, distorted shadows across the stage. The LED panel, still operational, pulsed with a frantic rhythm, its vibrant colors reflecting the tension in the air. "We need to bypass the damaged circuit," Miguel instructed, his voice tense. "If we can reroute the power, we can get the generator back online." The crew members, their faces grim, worked with practiced efficiency, their fingers flying across the tangled wires. Suddenly, the LED panel flickered and went dark, plunging the stage into near-total darkness. A collective gasp rose from the crew, their hearts sinking with a sense of dread. "What happened?" a stagehand asked, his voice trembling. "I don't know," Miguel replied, his voice filled with confusion. "The panel just shut down." He checked the connections, his fingers tracing the lines of the control panel, searching for any sign of a malfunction. But everything appeared to be in order. The panel simply refused to respond. "It's like it's frozen," Miguel said, his brow furrowed. "I can't get it to do anything." The sudden blackout added another layer of chaos to the already tense situation. The crew, their nerves frayed, worked in the dim light of their flashlights, their movements hampered by the darkness. The sense of vulnerability was palpable, a feeling that they were being watched, that unseen forces were manipulating the events around them. As Alex and Sophia continued their pursuit, the saboteur remained elusive, their movements as fluid as the shadows they inhabited. The chase led them deeper into the woods, the darkness growing thicker, the silence broken only by the rustling of leaves and the pounding of their hearts. Chapter 5. Echoes in the Dark. Deep within the shroud of the woods, Alex and Sophia pressed on, their pursuit relentless. The saboteur's trail was faint, marked by the occasional snapped twig or disturbed patch of earth, but Alex's experience kept them on course. The air was thick with the scent of damp leaves and the distant hum of the remaining generators, a stark contrast to the unsettling silence that enveloped the woods. Sophia, her breath ragged, gripped her flashlight tightly, her eyes scanning the shadows for any sign of movement. "They can't have gone far," Alex murmured, his voice low. "We'll find them." Suddenly, a twig snapped nearby, and a figure emerged from the darkness, their face obscured by a dark hood. But it wasn't the saboteur. It was Miguel, his face pale and his eyes wide with fear. "Miguel, what are you doing here?" Sophia asked, her voice filled with surprise. I followed you," he stammered, his voice trembling. "I wanted to help." Alex, his brow furrowed, looked at Miguel with a mixture of concern and frustration. "This isn't a game, Miguel. It's dangerous out here." "I know," Miguel replied, his voice firm. "But I can help. I know the LED panel better than anyone. Maybe I can figure out why it shut down." Alex hesitated, then nodded. "All right, Miguel. But stay close." As they continued their search, Miguel's presence added a new dynamic to the pursuit. His youthful energy and technical expertise provided a much-needed boost, his knowledge of the LED panel a potential key to solving the mystery. Back at the stage, the remaining crew members worked tirelessly to restore power, their efforts hampered by the darkness and the lingering sense of unease. The silence was broken only by the hum of the generators and the occasional clink of tools, a stark reminder of their vulnerability. "We need to get those lights back on," a stagehand muttered, his voice tense. "It's too dark out here." Suddenly, a faint sound echoed through the darkness, a rhythmic tapping that seemed to emanate from the LED panel. The crew members exchanged puzzled glances, their eyes fixed on the darkened screen. "What was that?" A stagehand whispered. "I don't know," another replied, his voice trembling. "But it's coming from the panel." As the tapping continued, a faint glow began to emanate from the LED screen, growing brighter with each passing moment. The crew members watched in awe as the panel flickered to life, its surface displaying a series of cryptic symbols and patterns. "It's working again," a stagehand exclaimed, his voice filled with relief. But their relief was short-lived. The symbols on the screen began to shift and change, forming a series of disturbing images that sent shivers down their spines. The tapping grew louder, more insistent, as if the panel was trying to communicate something urgent. Chapter 6. The Machine's Murmurs and the Unveiled Face. The LED panel pulsed with an eerie light, its surface a canvas of shifting, unsettling symbols. The rhythmic tapping, once a faint echo, now resonated through the stage, a metallic heartbeat thrumming with an unnatural energy. The crew, their faces pale and drawn, watched in horrified fascination as the images morphed and twisted, each frame more disturbing than the last. A sense of dread, cold and heavy, settled over them, a premonition of something ancient and malevolent stirring within the machine's depths. It's like it's alive," a stagehand whispered, his voice trembling. "Like it's trying to speak to us. But what could it possibly want?" Another murmured, his eyes wide with fear. "What could it be trying to say?" Miguel, his brow furrowed in concentration, stared at the panel, his mind racing to decipher the cryptic messages. He felt a strange connection to the machine, a sense of familiarity that both intrigued and terrified him. It was as if the panel was reaching out to him, pulling him into its digital embrace. The images on the screen intensified, flashing in a dizzying sequence, a chaotic montage of distorted faces, geometric patterns, and cryptic symbols. The tapping grew louder, more insistent, a metallic clamor that seemed to vibrate through their very bones. The air crackled with an unseen energy, a palpable tension that made their skin crawl. Suddenly, the tapping ceased and the images froze, coalescing into a single haunting visage. A face, pale and gaunt, its eyes glowing with an otherworldly light. The face seemed to pierce through the screen, its gaze fixed on the crew, its expression a chilling blend of sorrow and rage. A collective gasp escaped their lips, a shared breath of terror. "It knows we're here," a stagehand choked out, his voice barely a whisper. "It knows we're watching." "It's just an illusion," Miguel insisted, though his voice lacked conviction. "Just a trick of the light." But the face on the screen felt too real, too present, its gaze too intense to be dismissed as mere trickery. The crew felt a sense of violation, as if their minds were being invaded, their deepest fears laid bare. Meanwhile, deep within the tangled depths of the woods, Alex, Sophia, and Miguel pressed onward, their pursuit of the saboteur nearing its climax. The trail had led them to an isolated shack, its weathered walls and boarded-up windows casting long, ominous shadows in the moonlight. As they approached, a low, rhythmic hum emanated from within, a mechanical drone that vibrated through the stillness of the night. "That's the sound," Sophia whispered, her voice tense. "That's what we heard earlier." "He's in there," Alex confirmed, his hand resting on the flashlight clipped to his belt. "Let's go." They moved with practiced stealth, their footsteps muffled by the soft earth. As they peered through a crack in the boarded-up window, they saw a figure hunched over a cluttered workbench, their back to the window. The figure was surrounded by a chaotic array of wires, circuit boards, and blinking lights, their movements precise and focused. "It's him," Alex murmured, his voice grim. "The one who's been sabotaging us." They burst through the door, their flashlights cutting through the darkness, illuminating the figure in a harsh, revealing light. The figure, startled, spun around, their face hidden beneath a dark hood. But as they raised their head, a gasp escaped Sophia's lips. It's you," she exclaimed, her voice filled with disbelief and betrayal. The figure, their eyes filled with a mixture of fear and defiance, remained silent. The revelation sent a shockwave through the group, shattering their assumptions and deepening the mystery that shrouded their event. Chapter 7: The Confrontation and the Code. The revelation hung heavy in the air, a thick, suffocating blanket of disbelief and betrayal. Sophia stared at the hooded figure, her mind reeling, struggling to reconcile the familiar face with the acts of sabotage. Alex, his hand instinctively moving towards the tool belt at his waist, remained vigilant, his eyes scanning the cluttered shack for any signs of further treachery. Miguel, his youthful face etched with confusion, watched the unfolding scene, his mind a whirlwind of unanswered questions. "Why?" Sophia finally managed to ask, her voice barely a whisper. "Why are you doing this?" The hooded figure remained silent, their eyes darting between the three of them, a flicker of fear mingling with a stubborn defiance. The silence stretched, heavy and tense, broken only by the low hum of the electronic equipment scattered across the workbench. "Answer her," Alex demanded, his voice firm, his eyes narrowing. "Why are you trying to ruin this event?" The figure hesitated, then slowly reached up, pulling back the hood to reveal their face. It was Liam, a tech specialist who had been with Global Events Solutions for years, a trusted member of their team. I had my reasons," Liam stammered, his voice trembling. "They wouldn't understand." "Try us," Sophia said, her voice laced with a mixture of anger and disappointment. "We deserve to know." Liam took a deep breath, his eyes fixed on the floor. "They were going to replace me," he said, his voice barely audible. "With AI. They said my skills were obsolete, that a machine could do my job better." A wave of understanding washed over Sophia. She had heard whispers of the company's plans to integrate AI into their operations, but she had never imagined it would lead to such drastic measures. "So you decided to sabotage the event," Alex said, his voice grim. "To prove your worth." Liam nodded, his eyes filled with a desperate plea for understanding. "I just wanted them to see that I'm still valuable," he said. "That I'm not ready to be replaced." Meanwhile, back at the stage, the LED panel continued its unsettling display, the distorted face on the screen pulsing with an eerie light. The crew, their nerves stretched to breaking point, watched in horrified fascination as the images shifted and morphed, forming a series of cryptic codes and symbols. "It's trying to communicate with us," Miguel said, his voice trembling. "I think it's trying to tell us something important." He moved closer to the panel, his fingers hovering over the control panel, his mind racing to decipher the cryptic messages. He felt a strange connection to the machine, a sense of empathy that transcended the boundaries of human and technology. "I think I can understand it," he said, his voice filled with a newfound confidence. "I think I can help it." He began to input commands, his fingers flying across the control panel, his eyes fixed on the screen. The images shifted and changed, forming a coherent sequence of letters and numbers. "It's a code," Miguel exclaimed, his voice filled with excitement. "It's a message." He quickly transcribed the code onto his tablet, his mind racing to decipher its meaning. He felt a sense of urgency, a feeling that the message held the key to understanding the chaos that had engulfed their event. Chapter 8: Revelations and Resolutions. The encoded message on Miguel's tablet pulsed with a cryptic energy, a series of alphanumeric sequences that held the key to unraveling the night's enigma. Back in the shack, Liam, his face etched with remorse, recounted his desperate attempt to sabotage the event, a misguided plea for relevance in a world rapidly embracing artificial intelligence. Sophia, her initial shock giving way to a sense of understanding, listened intently, her mind grappling with the ethical implications of their industry's technological leap. Alex, ever pragmatic, focused on the task at hand, assessing the extent of the damage and formulating a plan to salvage the remaining performance. "We need to get this code to the LED panel," Miguel announced, his voice filled with urgency. "I think it's the key to restoring its functionality." "But how do we know it's safe?" Sophia questioned, her brow furrowed. "What if it's another trap?" "We don't," Alex admitted, his eyes fixed on Liam. "But we have to take the risk. We're running out of time." Liam, his gaze filled with a renewed sense of purpose, stepped forward. "I can help," he offered, his voice firm. "I know the system inside and out. I can help." Miguel input the code. Back at the stage, the remaining crew members, their faces illuminated by the eerie glow of the LED panel, worked frantically to prepare for the show's resumption. The audience, initially bewildered by the technical difficulties, had been kept entertained by impromptu performances and behind-the-scenes glimpses into the event's production. "We're almost ready," a stagehand announced, his voice echoing through the makeshift command center. "Just need to get the LED panel back online." Miguel and Liam, their fingers flying across the control panel, worked in perfect sync, their combined expertise a force to be reckoned with. The encoded message, now deciphered, revealed a series of commands that bypassed the panel's corrupted programming, restoring its functionality and unlocking its hidden potential. "It's working," Miguel exclaimed, his voice filled with triumph. "The panel is back online." The LED screen flickered to life, displaying a vibrant array of colors and patterns, a mesmerizing spectacle that captivated the audience. The rhythmic tapping, once a source of dread, now transformed into a pulsating beat, a hypnotic rhythm that synchronized with the music and light show. The event, once teetering on the brink of disaster, was now a resounding success, a testament to the team's resilience and ingenuity. The audience, enthralled by the immersive experience, cheered and applauded, their energy filling the night with a sense of celebration. As the final act concluded, the team gathered backstage, their faces etched with exhaustion but their hearts filled with a sense of accomplishment. Sophia, her eyes filled with gratitude, looked at Liam, her voice filled with sincerity. "Thank you, Liam," she said. "You helped us save the show." Liam, his face flushed with a mixture of relief and pride, smiled. "I'm glad I could help," he said. "I just wanted to prove that I still belong here." Alex, his gaze sweeping across the team, nodded in approval. "You all proved something tonight," he said. "That even in the face of adversity, we can overcome any challenge. Together."